Joining us now on the Buyers Barricades guest line. Coach, appreciate you jumping on and talking with us on this Wednesday afternoon. I think we got to start with how you doing, Coach?
I'm doing better. Yeah, I'm doing better. I'm feeling a lot better, and change of medicines. It's actually really helped me. So I'm feeling a lot better.
No, we're all
I'm
glad
going
to
to
hear.
be at the game. I'm going to be at the game this week for sure.
Oh, good. Now, when you say you're going to be at the game, as I guess you'll be sitting there, will you be on the sidelines? Where will you be?
Yeah, I won't be coaching the game, but I'll be there. So I want to
Okay.
support our team. I'm not giving up on our team, and I know those guys. I'm trying to back them all I can because I really believe they got a lot of heart and I know they work hard. Um, we're going to keep our fingers crossed and work hard and try to get this game.
Coach Wade Phillips joining us here on the Blitz on 94.1 at San Antonio Sports Star. Coach, if you could take us through what you can share, what you want to share with what's going on and why you had to take a leave of absence.
Yeah, well, I had some health problems that just where I couldn't do the job that I needed to do, and it wasn't fair to the team, the players to one game I was in the dressing room the whole game. I was sick and I couldn't even go out on the field. So that's just not fair to the team. So I came back home and I'm working on it. I've got a good doctor here and I'm getting in a good routine here. And so, and I may be back before the end of the season, but I'm working at it. That's why I'm going to the game. I'm trying to get out as much as I can and do normal things and certainly root for my team.
Well, that's great news, Coach. And I know everybody's happy to hear that. As you've been at home, have you been in contact with Coach Pardee and maybe spitballing with him on stuff?
Yeah, and he's you go from the oldest coach in the league in football to the youngest. So, and he confides in me, and he has some questions, and I think I helped him some with the answer to some of that stuff. But he's a really great young coach, so he's doing a good job with them, and they haven't given up. Their attitude is they're trying to win and trying to win every play, every game, one game at a time. So, and I really support that.
Absolutely. Coach Wade Phillips joining us here on the Blitz. Obviously a difficult season. You go into it with a lot of high expectations and, illness. And, obviously every Spur fan knows what they went through with Greg Popovich, and then they appointed Mitch Johnson, the interim coach. What goes through the process, if you will, of how Peyton Pardee, who I think in the same week got promoted to offensive coordinator, and then all of a sudden he's the interim head coach. Can you kind of take us through the process of how you decide who will take over on an interim basis?
Well, actually, the league made that decision, but he was a coordinator. He was just coordinating the special teams, but coaching the wide receivers. With outstanding wide receiver coach, and our special teams were doing great, and it was because of him. So, and we lost our offensive coordinator. So he really coached offense and special teams, and so I think he was the one I know he's the one that the league felt like could do it, and I think they're right.
Well, Coach, you see a lot of assistant coaches coming up in your time, and the ones that you probably have a bright future and those that maybe not. When you look at Peyton Pardee, it looks like to me he's got a pretty bright future in this business.
Oh yeah, he's he's from a football family, which I'm all for.
Yeah,
and he has a great background, and then but he's a really smart. Articulate, bright person overall, and especially as football. He has a good feel for the game too, not just knowing the X's and O's and how to teach well. But he has a good grasp of how the game's going and what we need to do. So I think he's got a bright future.
Coach Wade Phillips joining us here on the Blitz. And I know it's got to be tough for you because it's your team, and to not be around the guys every day, but the communication is there. There's been so much going on. I know a trade was made this week, a change at quarterback. How much input do you have or conversation are you a part of with the day-to-day runnings of the Brahmas right now?
Oh, not day to day, week to week. I talk with Mark Lillibridge, our GM, and in contact with him. And of course, I've talked to Peyton. I've talked to most of the coaches, since I've been gone. So we still communicate, and I mostly encouragement, not telling them what to do, but encouragement if they have any questions about anything. I talked to Will about defense and what's going on there. So I'm keeping in contact with the team.
Well, Wade, you've been in this business a long time. You have good years, and sometimes you have years like the Brahmas are having this year. Regardless, that the guys are playing hard and they're doing the best that they can.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, I guess, one of those years where you've got the talent, but things just aren't clicking this year for some reason.
Yeah, but that happened to us last year. We had 6 starters out there for a while, 6 and 7 starters out, and I believe they had 6 or 7 out this last game. And I said when we were playing St. Louis last year that in the playoff game, I said, hey, we're going to play better because we got all our starters back, and we did, and we beat them. So it's still. It's not an excuse, but injuries certainly are a factor in any league, and they've had a lot of starters out lately.
Yeah, they have, and again, it's just things that you kind of hope they come together soon. Maybe Friday night in the Alamo Dome against the DC Defenders. You're going to be there watching. Probably have a pretty good seat. I'm just curious, Coach, because we've talked often about those armchair quarterbacks, the armchair radio guys. What is the armchair head coach like when you're watching the game and, either you like a call, don't like a call, all you got to do, you're like us, you're sitting in the living room screaming at the TV.
Yeah, I'm pretty loud sometimes. No, not really. I try to evaluate things certainly. And I told Peyton before, I thought, maybe we ought to do this or that or will or offensively and defensively, since we talk back and forth, and they take it for what it is. I mean, I think they appreciate me saying things, but they still got to do the job themselves, and they're there doing it. And I'm just watching on TV or now in the stands. So it's still their final decision, and I believe in what they're going to do. But I try to say, hey, why don't we want to tunnel screen a little more or different things like that every once in a while. And sometimes they do it. So.
Well, I think so. I mean, I would do what you told me to do, Coach. That's for sure. I would assume that the players and everybody going to be very happy to see you on Friday night.
Well, I'm happy to see them for sure. We went all through training camp and certainly the first of the season, and they played hard for me, and I'll always appreciate that. And there's a lot of good guys. There's a lot of good, Mark Lillibridge does a great job of getting the personnel, but he also does a great job of getting, part of our criteria was having the right kind of people, having good guys that, do the right thing. And we have a lot of high character guys.
Absolutely. And again, high character guys that handle situations. Seems like Kellen Mond handled the quarterback change situation extremely well. Hogan came in, played well, although perfect pass, and there was a drop. And then this week, the Brahmas make a trade for a wide receiver. You get D. Anderson in exchange for Darius Phillips and a move with Memphis. Is that a trade that you like, that you think could help spark that offense?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, yeah, they had an unfortunate drop last week, which would have really changed the game. I think we know that. But from a guy that's probably one of the best receivers in the league, so and now you add another receiver, high caliber receiver. I think that'll really help us this week, and I'm looking forward to seeing that.
In your overall thoughts when Coach Pardee decided to make a change at quarterback as a head coach when he did that in the game in Kellen's first game back in San Antonio, knowing everything that meant, I can only imagine how difficult that is at the time that he did it as a head coach, where you're like, yep, he's got a great pulse of what's going on and what needs to happen.
Well, that's a head coach's decision certainly, and it's it's a team decision. You got to try to say what's the best for the team, and that's what he felt like we should do, and you go with that. So I've been there myself, and sometimes it's injuries, sometimes it's just the guys having trouble and we need a change for a little bit or maybe a whole season. You never know.
I would imagine, Coach, that's one of the more difficult decisions you have to make when your quarterback's struggling and you need a change. To me, that would be a tough decision, I would think.
Yeah, it's just it's more public because if you change the right guard, nobody
Right.
nobody says anything about that, and it's still the same thing. You're saying, well, we got a guy that needs to play there, or this guy's not playing well enough. We need to try to look at somebody else. So, but when it's the quarterback, it's all the eyes are on that. So, but it's the same on any player, offense or defense.
Absolutely. Again, the Brahmas taking on DC Friday night, 7:00 in the Alamo Dome. Get your tickets, UFLBrahmas.com. It's their Let's Rodeo game. Now, Coach, you missed the Fiesta game, but I can tell you that Dancing Wade Fiesta medal might have been the more popular Fiesta medal this year. And I know it's not Fiesta, but I think you got to be wearing those on Friday night at the Dome.
Well, I do that then. Yeah. That's it's pretty cool, really. I mean, I hate to.
It's my favorite medal. I'll tell you that right now. I love it.
Well, I'm really honored, certainly, that they did that. It is kind of funny looking, but it's got the dancing feet, so I don't know that I can do that well. But
I think your dancing feet inspired the medal, Coach.
Yes.
Yeah, maybe so. I don't know, but it's funny. It's funny, but it is an honor, and I appreciate them doing it.
It's going to be fun. Can't wait to see you Friday in the Dome. Coach, before we let you go, as we visit with Wade Phillips here on the Blitz, I do have one Cowboys question for you, and that is they make a major trade today to get a wide receiver in George Pickens, who has had issues with attitude in the past, with teammates, pouts some when he doesn't get the football enough, coming in to be a wide receiver too. When you bring in a player that has an attitude like that, if you will, or at least that perception, Mike Tomlin has given up on you. How do you take a player like that and try to get him to fit in your culture and your environment like Schottenheimer is going to have to do now in Dallas?
Yeah, if you remember, we brought Terrell Owens in when I was there, and he had two terrific seasons. So, he helped us in win a playoff games that they hadn't won in 4 or 5 years. So, yeah, it's working with people. It's not handling people. It's working with people. And Brian, I know Brian. He's got the ability to talk with and work with a guy and tell him how he wants it done, and then see if it's done the right way. So, sometimes you don't know those guys. I mean, like Terrell Owens. I don't know if you remember what he cried one game when the quarterback didn't. But he cared about the team, and I could talk to him and say, hey, you need to do this more or that more. But one thing about Terrell was he was a tremendous worker. And he was always in tremendous shape, and you had something really going great for him. I don't know the Pickens guys, but if he has anything like Terrell Owens, he'll do a good job.
Good
That'll
stuff.
be fun. We'll see.
Going to be interesting for sure. It certainly makes the Cowboys better. It's what they needed to get. And, if it works, man, that might be a difference maker. And if not, it's a 1-year deal and he's out the door. So
Yeah.
low risk, high reward for
right.
the Cowboys, right?
Yeah, that's right.
That's how it goes. Wade Phillips, glad you're feeling better. Glad
Yes,
you're able
sir.
to do this today. And I know the fans are going to be thrilled to see you at the Alamo Dome Friday night. While not coaching, at least you're there. And I think that makes a whole lot of difference for the fans and probably for your players as well.
Well, good. Yeah, I'll take some pictures of the fans if they're around. So.
All right.
You offer that up. You got to come down from the suite and, hang out somewhere where they can come find you because they will.
Okay, well, good.
Good deal. All right,
There you
Wade,
go.
appreciate you doing this. I'm glad you're feeling better. We'll catch up soon.
All right, thanks.
Appreciate it.
Great.
Wade Phillips on the Buyers Barricades guest line, where they provide traffic control, rental, and sales for San Antonio and beyond, online at buyersbarricades.com.